Okay. TRW at the wargaming table. I have a list of topics I'm going to go through. They are not in any particular order. They are not meant to be presented in any particular order. But from time to time, I definitely feel like committing various things to video. Role-playing games. Up front, just like I don't consider myself a wargamer, I am not an RPG player. I'm not a role-playing game player. But I can appreciate the I guess I think of it as more than a genre. I think I can appreciate the medium platform, whatever that should be. But RPGs, okay, why am I even thinking about these? So I stumbled on Traveler, looking through the gaming collection in storage. Came across this one. Now this is not the original. I acquired this about 2 years ago. When I think of Traveler, I don't think of this technically, what is this? First version? What is technically or maybe it wouldn't be in here. Well, I'll just say the 1977 version, which to me is the first version. Look how great condition these are in. But anyways, I don't think of this one though. Many years ago, I had Mega Traveler, and I had the full size hardbound Mega Traveler. That's what I think of when I think of Traveler. I don't have that one anymore. Long since lost that one. But yeah, I came across this one in storage, and so when I came across this, I thought, I thought to myself, I can barely see doing a role-playing game on video. It would not be the same. Definitely. I mean, role-playing games absolutely, I think, are... Well, yeah, role-playing games, as intended, are social games for sure. But of course, there have been a few... there have been a few RPGs that have been designed as solitaire games. I don't know much about them at all. But anyways, so I was thinking, sure. I could see doing videos of playing an RPG like Traveler. Again, it wouldn't be to show the full game as intended, but what it would do is that it would show kind of the heart of an older RPG like this. Of course, there are newer versions, right? But this would be to specifically show what it was like when you got the first 3 booklets, years ago. What it was like. So then I looked for RPG videos, and so I looked for RPG videos, and surprise, surprise, I was not aware of the fact that there is a whole subculture of RPG videos. And by the way, they are, to to a large degree, very good. Very good, very enjoyable to watch, even though I'm not a role-playing an RPG player. Anyways, so I discovered this whole subculture of RPG videos, and then that. See, I'm trying to get the sequence right here. I think from those videos, I discovered Rolemaster. So that actually I should say that only for the last several weeks, I feel like, anyways, I did a really quick but deep dive into the whole role-playing game hobby, pastime. Yeah, and in the process, unbelievable amount of work there. But one of the completely unexpected discoveries was Rolemaster, which is something that I very well can see myself coming back to. And actually, it's not even Rolemaster. Rolemaster really, really impressed me. But when I found out there was Spacemaster, a sci-fi version of Rolemaster, which is fantasy, wow. That I was like, okay, I could play this. I wouldn't. Well, actually, I would play Rolemaster with a group. I don't know, given the opportunity. But Rolemaster, the fantasy, wouldn't interest or motivate me enough for me to seek out playing it. But Spacemaster, that was enticing enough. Okay. So I'll get back to Rolemaster, or actually Spacemaster, when I have an opportunity. So role-playing games. I want to say, especially considering that I was really, I was almost dumbfounded to see the just massive work that's been done in the whole role-playing game area, and that made me think. I can really only talk about a few myself, and really, there's only one I would say I can talk about with any tiny bit of authority. So, what are the ones I can talk about? Again, there was Traveler, and technically, I should say Mega Traveler. Cannot speak as I can only speak it. Okay, I'll say I can only speak with a tiny bit of authority about Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, the original of the hardbound books, the original Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, the original Monster Manual hardbound, the original Dungeon Master's Guide with the was it a Freedy on the cover, and I was trying to remember. I cannot remember what's on the cover of the Player's Manual, but I'm sure many of you will know and recall very, very vividly. So the original AD&D, that's the only one I can talk about with a tiny bit of authority. Otherwise, I should say I'm familiar with Mega Traveler. I'm familiar with, and when I say I'm familiar with Mega Traveler, yeah, sure, I can talk about it, the unique aspects to it, the tech levels, how it does monsters, or not monsters, what do they call them? Well, how it does adversaries, how it does character generation, the core combat mechanic, which I guess is not, one thing I'm not familiar with is there are at least 5 or are there 6 distinct versions of Traveler. There are multiple distinct versions of Traveler, and I guess I learned Okay, not all of them share the great, in my opinion, universal combat system. So, anyways, combat, yeah, the basic concept. But anyways, and then Gamma World. Talk about Gamma World, the original. I had no interest in the later versions, but the original version of Gamma World, familiar with that. Again, I'm familiar with how it does, how it does settings, how it does their mutants and animals and creatures, etc. I can talk about Top Secret, and I can talk about Boot Hill, actually. See, are those? I think that's it. So it's really only that period. So AD&D, original Gamma World, Mega Traveler, which I think was the first Mega Traveler that I'm thinking of, and the hardbound book. Anyways, it's basically that period. Okay, why AD&D? So, and this has to do with wargaming in that I was one of those youngsters, and I'm sure there were not a few of us. So I was interested in the war games, but I effectively couldn't find anybody to be interested enough to be, a partner player to play the game, to play the war games. The role-playing games, and especially AD&D, were exploding, I guess, at that time. And the neighborhood kids definitely had an AD&D group. So for a couple of years, I would say for a couple of years, as a young teenager, AD&D was it. Very easy to find players. And I was thinking about this. I was thinking, why was I basically the dungeon master? And now I remember why, after searching my memory. Even though there were all these neighborhood kids who were quite interested in AD&D, to the extent, what I mean by that is they would play hours on end, they would play all night. They really had a almost insatiable appetite for the whole AD&D play experience. But I cannot remember a single neighborhood kid who had any interest in engaging the design of AD&D and engaging the rules on their own. So needing someone, the dungeon master, to study the rules, study the settings, create the dungeons, create the campaigns, all that stuff. I was the only one who was really interested enough to do that. So I think that's why I was the dungeon master. So I think of AD&D almost entirely through the lens of being the dungeon master. So that was it. Neighborhood group, really a lot of interest, wide open opportunity to be. By the way, I liked very much being the dungeon master. My point is that I had no competition, so it was a wide open opportunity to pursue the pastime as the dungeon master. Being the war gamer, really being more interested in the war games. Of course, I never paid that much attention to the magic, but anyways, okay. So role-playing games, AD&D, Mega Traveler. Really impressed with Spacemaster, and yes, I am absolutely. I don't want to say too much here because I can't actually show anything, but the intense detail, that and the realism, just great. So I'm going to see what I can do with that. Okay. Um, Next up for videos, I think I'm going to be taking something of a break from my regularly planned gaming. In other words, I had a number of different systems I wanted to try for the first time. All of them on the more complex end, if not on the complex end of the spectrum. But I think I'm going to take a break with something lighter. That's what I'm thinking. Oh, and finally, not so much Traveler, but Traveler could definitely serve the purpose. When I was thinking about the RPGs and then looking into them, looking around at all the different generations of designs, popular mechanics and approaches, I was looking for, in particular, what I was looking for. Why is this? I don't know. Well, actually, maybe the reason why I was doing this is because even as a youngster, I was looking for this. I was looking for a deep, what I call a deep, dark science fiction RPG. Something that was just actually, see, for me, a sci-fi RPG can't be too dark, can't be too gloomy and foreboding and to me it's actually, for me, when I think of sci-fi RPG, I think of environmentally destroyed planets, species on the brink of extinction. I think of nuclear fallout. I think of even, and it doesn't mean like advanced societies that have been recently plunged into technological darkness. Even the high tech end of the, I guess, spectrum for me, even when it's the high tech end of the spectrum, voyaging voyaging the galaxies, it still to me is bleak, and it's still challenging to survive, let alone thrive. And I'll tell you, I didn't really find that. Again, I think Traveler could be made that way. The original Gamma World could be made that way. And I think Spacemaster could be made that way. Maybe I just didn't find it, though. But that to me is what I think of as sci-fi RPG. And again, why is... yeah, because even as a youngster, I was looking for that. Yeah. So I think I've covered everything. Boy, this is a beautiful, untouched copy of the original 3 booklets. See, the reason why I might want to actually try Traveler here on video, I think it might be worth it for pure nostalgia's sake, but I still think to get the most out of Traveler, you have to devote a lot. Oh, but actually, I might be able to get a handle on pre-made characters and the right kind of pre-made adventures. I like the science fiction adventure in the far future. Yeah, I might do that. But then I think if I'm going to put so much into Traveler to get something out of it, even just for a period for nostalgia's sake, And I'm thinking, why don't I just go for Spacemaster and actually get that deep, deep level of realism? I'll have to think about that.